All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the City of Rancho Mirage's City Council, Library and Observatory Board, Housing Authority Board, and the City Council representing the Redevelopment Successor Agency. And it is 1 o'clock. The meeting is Thursday, May the 5th, 2022. And actually, it's almost 1:10, so I will start the meeting. Forgive me, allergies are killing me, so just bear with me. We'll now have the flag salute. And Richard, if you may do that for us.
Thank you, Mayor. Please follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We did. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. Chrissy, can we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Downs?
Here.
Councilmember Smotrich? Here. Councilmember Weil?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Kite?
Here.
Mayor Townsend?
Here. All right, we will move on we have a presentation here today, recognition of the CAL FIRE Riverside County Fire Department personnel. And I would like to call up to the podium Chief Coates, who will give us the presentation and tell us what it's all about.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, staff. My name is Matthew Coates, a CAL FIRE Riverside County Fire Battalion Chief for the City of Rancho Mirage. I'd like to present to you today a successful incident outcome that occurred in the City of Rancho Mirage on April 3rd, 2022. CAL FIRE Riverside County firefighters responded to an unconscious 71-year-old male in the backyard of a residence. An on-scene family member stated that the adult male walked outside to the patio, grabbed onto a chair, and proceeded to collapse to the ground, going unconscious and into respiratory distress. Fire crews arrived on scene to find the male patient in severe respiratory distress and then proceeded into cardiac arrest. Quick recognition from firefighters, along with advanced life support measures, allowed the patient to achieve return of spontaneous circulation prior to hospital arrival. Upon arrival to the hospital, the male patient was alert, oriented, and speaking with fire crews. During the patient transfer from our crews to the hospital staff, the patient shook our hands and thanked the fire department for saving his life. The male patient is expected to make a full recovery. Present to you a video.
Very good.
Sunday morning, we got up and we normally go for a walk around the circle here. So we went out to do that, came home, and he didn't complain about lightheadedness or anything. He just seemed normal on the walk. And then we came in the front door. He went directly out onto the patio and I stopped in the kitchen to start breakfast. And I looked out and he was holding onto the chair on the patio, but he was shaking like this. And I thought, what the heck is he doing? And I called out. Down he went with the chair. So I ran out there and I looked at him and he was starting to go reddy blue. And I just thought, I have to call 911.
So we were doing our typical station routine, making sure our equipment's all checked out and making sure the fire station was clean.
I could hear the siren and I was getting really worried because I wasn't thinking that it would have to pass me on Monterey, so it would sound like the sirens were going away and then come back. So I kind of got concerned about that. But they got here and out they raced. They brought me in here into the living room and said just to stay here.
When fire crews got on scene, we found a 71-year-old male patient that was on the floor, still breathing in agonal respirations, blue in color, and deteriorated quickly.
How many times did they hit me with paddles?
Charles, I think, said, which is one of the firemen, he said twice. And they had to use an injection twice.
And we gave him a second shot. Once that second shot took place, we had a valuable rhythm. We were able to connect our monitors to him and give him a 12-lead EKG. He had a normal blood pressure. His heart rate was coming back. He was starting to mumble and make incomplete sentences.
But they worked on him. They were amazing. And they got him on the stretcher and headed away. But they They worked so hard and they were so good.
Throughout the day, running 911 calls and transporting patients to the hospital, we were able to check on him, and he was admitted to the ICU. The patient did have a pacemaker placed in his chest to help defibrillate, to help his heart out, and later on, he was discharged and expected to make a full recovery. As the days have gone by, we were able to actually visit him at his home the next week and found out that he is a seasonal resident here in Rancho Mirage, that he's gonna make a full recovery. He's walking around, he's talking, he shook our hands again, and he just wanted to get back home to Canada on a plane.
Because we're in a fairly good-sized town, but not a large town. He would have had to been airlifted to one of the bigger cities. And that could have taken who knows how long, because they have to find him a bed, find him a cardiologist that's available. So that could have taken 24 hours. And then the treatment could have been how long, we don't know. So it's way different. I think the way that this is organized and the way that your response times and the knowledge that these paramedics have is the benefit to people. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
Just way amazing.
yeah.
I'm just thankful we were here.
And the follow-up was, wonderful. It was very, breath of fresh air. It was really good.
Well, it made you feel that you were important and they were keeping a watch in case something went wrong in the early days, which to me, not having family here and being able to start our own, that was really important. That really made a difference.
For us, I think it was all the right players at the right time. It's having that crucial response, having the amount of resources that we have on scene, having the proper training, the high quality CPR, the good depth compressions, having paramedics that are confident and capable, that understand the signs, understand what assessments need to be done, and providing that advanced life support. This also contributes to having the correct equipment on scene, having the cardiac monitor, having our tubes, having our airways set up, having the narcotics that we need. It was one of those things that everything fell into place. It was the right time, it was the right people, and it was the right moments.
The thing that I got from all this was how professional everybody was and how they calmed her down. Because
How kind.
She was already, stressed right out because she was, working away trying to keep me going, and they came in and she's told me this right before, but they calmed her right down and got her to sit down, and then they took care of me. And
Yes.
I thought that was
They
great.
were amazing. They visited him in the emergency on Sunday twice as they were transporting people, I imagine. And Sunday on their road over, I don't know how they got here, but they came in and checked on me, but I was still out in emergency with Earl. And then Monday, I came home to talk to the insurance company in quiet, and the doorbell rang, and it was the boys again, the three of them. They came to check on me to make sure I was okay, which to me is unheard of. That's a way above and beyond. The following Sunday, they came again to check on me and ask how Earl was doing. And I said, oh, well, he's inside if you want to come and talk to them. They were quite surprised that he was home. And they came in and we talked and took a picture of them. But that's way over and above as far as I'm concerned. That made me feel so
Exceptional.
calm. Like it was so nice to know they were there. Yeah, it was amazing.
So behind me are standing the following crew members that responded to the call. Engineer Charles Essling, firefighter paramedic Ryan Summers, firefighter Frank Zalidon, firefighter paramedic Luke Koblenz, engineer Tony Gomez, firefighter Zach Alfaro, and fire captain Brian Rowe. Also on the call but not present today were engineer Ernie Robles and fire captain Trey Smith.
Very, very, very good. Before I come down, let me just say a couple of words. First, looking out on all of you gives me such a warm feeling, and anybody watching this should realize the safety that is in your hands of the people in the Coachella Valley completely, all of you that do all this in all the other cities. The one thing that stuck out for me out of everything else was the word. They had no family here. That really moved me. But you guys were their family. That's a big thing with so many people down here who come away from their real home and come down here. I think they would be frightened to think that if anything happened, nobody would be there. But to see this and know that the support that is here by our fire departments is unbelievable. And the second thing that hit me was the follow-up. That's amazing, guys. That is unbelievable. To take that extra step to do what you have done, let's give them one more. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, I'll come down and join you. Am I on with my gravelly, girty voice? Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's come over this way, guys. And we have some plaques that we want to present to you on behalf of the city of Rancho Mirage. And I'm going to read the first one here for engine number 33. And it says, in recognition of your swift, heroic actions on April the 3rd, 2022, leading to the savings of another life, the city of Rancho Mirage would like to thank you for going above and beyond in serving the residents of our community. And this is that plaque right there. So there's that one there. And the next one is to, excuse me, ambulance 33. There. And the other one is truck number 33. So you guys, congratulations. Yeah, why don't you guys come over here, gather around, and we'll take a photo so you can see all this illustrious council behind you too. There you go. Got it? Good. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
So, Mayor, while you work your way back up here,
Yes.
Do we want to invite the other council members to say some words before the crews head back to work?
Really? Should we do that?
I think
You
so.
guys have something to say? Let's start with Mr. Ted.
Thank you, Mayor. Guys, thank you loads. Charles, we've known each other a while. I've had the pleasure of spending time with Charles in the CERT training as well as the refresher course. Does just a great job, extremely professional. And here's an example of putting all of that to work in a real life situation. So again, congratulations and thank you for everything that you do for our wonderful community. Thank you, guys.
And I would echo that same thank you. Many of us in the room have had experiences with the visits you've made to our homes, and the experience is quite unbelievable. The comfort we feel, the security we feel, the confidence that we know we're going to be treated with is just amazing. And we always say we can't thank you enough, but it's so good to see you in person and be able to shake your hand and give our thanks, because we know that you're there all the time, 24/7, and we couldn't be more thrilled that you are in our city. Thank you again.
Thank you, Iris. Richard.
Thank you, Mayor. April 3rd, that was the day you were out there for the event. That was the last day of the golf tournament. Did that create any unusual circumstances at the golf course?
At the golf course, no, sir. No. We were fully staffed at the golf course and fully staffed in our fire stations.
How many did you have on staff at the golf course?
Oh, probably up to 10 at one time per day.
Well covered. You did a great job out there. You've done a great job always. So we really thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, guys. What a great job. What a nice story. So I have a wife who would have been ever vigilant, just like the wife here, and I'm sure that all of us have a significant other that we live with who would have been watching every step you took. I'm sure she did, and you did a wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you again. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. Now you can go to work. Thank you, everybody. All right, next is the non-agenda public comments. And this is the opportunity for the public to speak on issues that are not on the agenda for a maximum time of 3 minutes per speaker. Chrissy, do we have any cards?
Yes, we do. Before I call the first speaker card I have, I just want to remind the audience on Zoom, if you would like to speak at this time, please press *9 on your phone or hit the raise hand button on Zoom, and that will let us know that you wish to speak. And the first speaker is Tom Atkin.
Good afternoon, councilmen and council ladies. My name is Tom Atkin, and excuse me, I'm having the same problems that you're having. Recently, Mayor Townsend sent out his first letter, and in that letter, he specifically said that, and I quote, "Our city is a collaborative effort between the city council, city staff, and our residents." I hope as a resident I represent us well. "In order to have a strong system of a well-run city, we must work together to bolster the best decisions for the city we serve." In that document as well, Mayor Townsend also referred to the Rancho Mirage brand. And I immediately sent an email, it was only 3 days ago because it just came out, to Mayor Townsend and asked for a specific definition or where I could find a definition of the Rancho Mirage brand, because it really helps to have not a generic term applied conveniently at different things that you're doing, whether they're economic or whatever, but some general explanation of how you perceive the Rancho Mirage brand. And I don't know, does anybody have a Rancho Mirage brand available for me to read? Could you possibly prepare one so that we all, the citizens, part of the triumvirate of decision-making, and could actually know what that means in specific terms? The other thing that I wanted to just bring up today, and again, you can't hold a city council responsible for this, but already we have a tremendous public relations problem with the Disney project, and that's Florida, and Disney Florida. And the national audience, the local audience doesn't read details. They just see Disney, gay, close down the Disney park, take away their priorities, blah, blah, blah. And we're building a development over here that has Disney's name on it, which is, over the next couple of years, until Ron DeSantis either becomes president or gets blown out of politics, this is going to continue to grow. And Disney is now associated with Rancho Mirage, and Disney, like it or not, either has a negative or positive, kind of split, divided thing like we are in this country, perception. And that's going to cause us a lot of problems, because right now we don't need that. We don't need to have that kind of problem going on. A great development that generates revenue for the city, fine. But already, and again, not your fault, but we got problems with Disney. Thank you very much for that. Or post something in your next letter that kind of explains what the Disney brand is, so we all, and I'm sorry, what the Rancho Mirage brand is, so we all have a common working point to discuss things. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom.
The next speaker is Walter Melendez.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today, I want to instill a thought in everybody's mind that the real estate industry needs to change their modus operandi. In the sense that rent apartments should not exist in the real estate industry. What should exist is so-called condominiums. Because nowadays, for people to survive, they need to invest whatever they make throughout their life, from when they're young and they're able to work. I'm already 77 years old and I don't work. I can work, but I don't want to. So the new thought is, and I'm speaking to all the 9 cities in the valley, that condominiums should be the thing to do nowadays, not rental apartments. And this is the way it should work. The apartments that are built, that are being built, should be classified and built to the specifications of condominiums also. So when somebody young, when they're still able to work, and they need to move away from their parents' house and get their own place, when they go rent an apartment, should have an option to buy. Let's say 1 or 2 years later, when these people, us, everybody, can afford the down payment on a on a unit. Because, and I repeat, because the financial situation all throughout the United States and throughout the world is so critical that it needs to be built upon from the very beginning. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Chrissy?
Next speaker is Chuck Parker.
Thank you. I'm Chuck Parker, and I'm with the Salton Sea Coalition, and it's nice to be back. Well, our last time we came, well, not the last time, but we were here in April of 2019, and we were fortunate enough to participate in a study session about the Salton Sea in front of the council, and later the council passed a resolution in support of ocean water import, or in support of a comprehensive study of that. And I wanted to give you an update. That planning process is coming to an end. The state convened an independent review panel of scientists, and they are going to make their report in September. And by the end of the year, the Salton Sea Management Plan is going to have to choose a plan for the Salton Sea. The bad thing is that a lot of those plans are left over from 15 years ago, and with the drought getting worse and climate change getting worse, the inadequacy of those plans is much clearer. And the position and leadership that you offered in support of bringing in water and restoring the lake is much more evident. A new study has come out which shows that a lot of those plans, if they leave a lot of the lake bed dry, it's full of organic material from the algae, the fish, and the birds that live there. And so it's going to begin to emit carbon dioxide and methane and make climate change or global warming worse. And so that would not really be consistent with California's goals to achieve carbon neutrality. So we have a new resolution that we'd like you to consider to reassert the support that you gave for bringing in water and restoring the ecosystem, and also to urge these planning committees to take into account, to evaluate the potential greenhouse gas emissions of each of these plans. Now, I just went to a meeting yesterday of the Long-Term Planning Committee, and they have said that they are going to do that, and that they're going to give us a plan for how they plan to do that in June. So there's some hope there. And so I left a packet here that's got some documents in it. When you have time, you can go over those, and hopefully you'll see fit to put this on the agenda for a vote. And sometime, if you'd like to, we'd be glad to answer any questions at a later time. Thank you. Good to see you all again.
Thank you, Chuck.
We just missed Dana Hobart. He was a big help the last time
Yeah,
around.
I'm sure he's still out there doing it too, Chuck.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Chrissy?
Next speaker is Felicitas Nunez.
I was also here in 2019, and in that same year, we
Hold the microphone down a bit. There you go.
that same year we the mothers of Salton City approached the office of Raul Ruiz. They had a meeting with Eduardo Garcia. They went to a meeting with the Region 7 Water Board, and they presented the need to have clean water, because by the time the water, underground water, gets to that area in Mecca and Thermal and Salton City, it's very dense, it's corrosive. The plumbing in the three schools there, Seaview Elementary, for example, the plumbing is not working because the water is so corrosive that it's melted away the leaded pipes, and the water cannot be drank. The students cannot drink that water. If the wind starts blowing, everybody has to stay in the classroom because the wind carries all of this emissions. Not only is it carbon that we have in the Salton Sea, we have munitions that are left over from target practice for Pearl Harbor. We have tons of pesticides, and also raw sewage that is escaping into the Salton Sea because there's a lack of modern wastewater plants that need to be installed. And right now, it's good that they're talking about lithium, mining lithium, but even to mine lithium, you need tons of water. So we really, it's getting more and more needed, so that water is put in there because the health situation for the people around there is getting worse. Nosebleeds are happening not because of asthma, because these particles are getting into the lungs of people. The wind does not discriminate, so it carries it all over the south of California, not to mention, the Coachella Valley and the Imperial Valley especially. And so, again, thank you for supporting the idea of importing water. We could have so much more prosperity and health if we were to consider bringing in water to the Salton Sea and restoring it back to its natural state. We could have all the water parks. We could have so much more of a beautiful community that unites both the east and the west of Coachella Valley. We have a lot of people, they're all nationalities, white, Filipino, black, Mexican, and the majority are from the Purepecha tribe, and they have a lot of cultural rich things that they can offer. So if you were to have a prosperous area in the Salton Sea, you wouldn't have to go to Mexico to enjoy the difference in cultures and artifacts that they have. You could just go, send your people, tourists, could have the option to have more of a variety of recreation if, we all cooperated in this. And not only that, but you would be helping people. If you're the type of person that wants to help other people, this is a good way. We have a lot of farmers over there that are immigrants that are working to put food on our table, essential workers, and they're suffering the effects of this corrosive water. It causes skin irritations, and not only that, the Border Patrol that protects our frontier, they have cancer cluster and among them, and there already been about 3 deaths. We also have the Calipatria prison. You have the guards and the inmates very close to that area, and already with the chronic diseases and the pandemic coming in and out, we really need to address the need to import water. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Chris?
Patrick Lowry.
Good afternoon. Patrick Laurie, 18-year resident of Rancho Mirage. Please allow me 30 seconds. These fellows that showed up and the fellow beside me, they saved my life twice. The most important thing was not my life. I honestly say that to you. It was how they dealt with my wife. Okay?
I remember that, you saying that fact.
And that was mentioned here by that couple,
Yes, yes.
right? That the spouse suffers far more than you do. So I no callousness whatsoever from this group. Now, if I may have that 30 seconds back, I stand here in support of the right of a woman to make decisions about her health and her body. Now I want to talk about the Ukraine. 138 children now have died in the Ukraine, 500 injured. We gave a $150,000 matching fund to the Children's Museum, a great thing to do. Why don't we think about a matching plan, an idea for the children of the Ukraine? Imagine 138 kids being killed. We're still not saying anything as a city. Now, I want to talk to you about policing. I want to read something to you. They did a survey in Rancho Mirage. Close to 35% of the people in Rancho Mirage felt that they were not seeing enough of the police, Sheriff's Department, visibility. I want to read to you the agreement that we have with the police. We're supposed to get 83 hours a day, equivalent of 16 deputy sheriffs. Now, I don't know how you spread that out. 5 in a car, 4 in a car, 3 in a car, 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. I don't know. But I challenge you to tell me that you see sheriffs that would equate to that paragraph. You don't. Doesn't make bad cops. Doesn't do anything like that. It just says it's a resource issue. The other thing is that we're supposed to see 2 motorcycle officers on the streets. It's here in the contract. Boy, I'll tell you, police officers in this city, almost a myth. And yet we're dealing with heavier traffic patterns, speeding, so on and so forth. So please, whoever wants to hold somebody accountable to this contract, get to work on it. Now, let me give you some stats very quickly. In Rancho Mirage, 1 in 26 of us is going to be this year involved in a crime. 1 in 26, FBI statistics. Can't argue them, can't refute them. Cathedral City, listen to this. Cathedral City is one of the top 50 safest cities in California. Rancho Mirage does not appear in the top 100. Indio, it's 1 in 67 that an Indio resident will have a crime committed, property crime. I want to be clear on that. They're safer than us. That's not disparaging to Indio. I'm just saying what we think of ourselves is, what kind of safe, great community. Not so. So we need to get these sheriffs out there. Preventing crime is somebody being around, not somebody showing up. Okay, that's retro. That's not proactive. So I'd like to, again, have somebody take a look at that contract, take a look at the agreement, see what the resources are that the sheriffs need, and let's get them out there. And if you think that we're seeing enough sheriff cars, guys, debate me on that issue. Love to have it. Okay? Oh, one more great comment. Compton, safer in Compton when it comes to property crime than Rancho Mirage. FBI statistics. Thank you so much. Remember the Ukraine, please.
Thank you, Pat, for your comment.
Brad Anderson.
Good afternoon, Brad Anderson, City of Rancho Mirage. I just wanted to hit a few topics today. Public safety appears to be the topic of today. But anyway, I wanted to bring that up too. I spoke in the past concerning, I guess, traffic cameras at intersections and throughout the city, license plate readers, more or less, and you're going to put a couple more intersections on that. And I was against that just because I think it can be misused to actually monitor certain people if they wanted to, the city. And I'm all, we can't stop this progress, but transparency is really the issue. I would like to see a website that I can go to and look at this intersection too, like this one over here that I crossed to get to City Hall today. I've had issues where people ran lights, and I had to not radically, but I had to avoid that from being a victim on that street. Congratulations on your appointment today, last week, Mr. Townsend. But anyway, so I'm concerned that some people can probably break the law and some people can't. Talking about the Sheriff's Department, proactive, I believe the city has a great Sheriff's Department, fire station outstanding, but as citizens of the city, we all know we pay enormous sums for that. And once that degrades, then we're in trouble. But it hasn't. Response times are great, and it's maybe not proactive, but crime rates are up everywhere. It's an issue for everyone. State of California is just in total trouble, I think. But anyway, I just wanted to speak about that. Code compliance. I wanted to mention that real quick. I've been kind of following a lot of cases throughout the Coachella Valley of code compliance, not just our city, but other cities. And I have an issue with code compliance. I have in the past, but how it's been used by city council members. And I have a neighbor, 80-year-old lady. I went to court with her. They appealed a citation, administrative citations to the city, and I was just appalled by the city attorney office. The judge asked them if they had, because they had, apparently, the issue, I'm going to just flatline it, the issue was that she had a citation from a car that had a flat tire in front of her house. And apparently the code compliance saw this car in her driveway at one time, and that was good enough to give the homeowner a citation for a car on the street. It's totally wrong. It was a lesson. I think it was just intentionally done to more or less intimidate this homeowner. And I have issues with that. And that's all I have. Thank you. I wanted to speak on closed session when that comes over. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Before I call the next speaker card, the last speaker card I have, I want to remind those on Zoom, if you want to speak during this section of the agenda, please press raise hand or *9. And Peter Johnson.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. My name is Peter Johnson, lived in Rancho Mirage for about 25 years. I love it here, great city. I know you guys are big on this Disney project. I know it's been in the works for the past few years. Unfortunately, most of the residents in the city have not been aware of it. And look how crowded the room is right now, as well as 2 years ago when you guys started this project. At that time, I'm not sure exactly how you got away with it or how the water agency let you get away with it. It's absurd. That was 2 years ago. Things have gotten worse since then. Things have not gotten any better. There is a water shortage. We're in I don't know what they say, 1,000-year drought. We're in severe drought conditions. San Bernardino County, Ventura County, pretty soon Riverside County. And once our water agency gets their head together, they will actually put restrictions on us as well. Okay? I love water parks. I love water. A 24-acre lagoon in the middle of Rancho Mirage does not make any sense at all right now in a severe drought. Building the house is great. Construction, yes. We need homes, yes. But we need to build eco-friendly homes, and I'm not sure how eco-friendly these homes will be when you've got a 24-acre lagoon. Where's this water coming from? Is Disney going to bring us water out here? Crazy. Whoever came up with this idea needs to adjust it, change it. We've got mobile homes out in Coachella. There's over 20 mobile home parks that have contaminated water. They're talking about a surf park in La Quinta. That's a slap in the face to people in our own valley within 10 miles away from us who have poison, toxic water, cannot drink the water in their homes, from their faucets, they have to get bottled water. Our water agency has to provide them bottled water. Okay, don't you think that they should work on that first before Disney comes out here and starts putting our water in a lagoon? How selfish can we be? Okay? I don't want everybody to think you guys are a bunch of fools, but you know what? If you go on with this project, everybody's going to know that this is absurd. Think about it. We got people in our own community. Take care of our own. We don't want people to think you're a bunch of rich white men in a city that's being selfish. Think about it. We need to take care of our own in the Coachella Valley. Let's get clean water out there. Disney wants to do it, let them do it. Okay, Disney has a heart, show us some heart. Rancho Mirage, City Council, Mayor, if you have a heart, consider this project making an eco-friendly project. We don't need the lagoon. Build the homes, eco-friendly homes. Cancel your water park. We don't need it. I'm here today alone, but guess what? I'm not going to give up on this. I will picket this place if I have to. Guess what? I've got time, okay? You can stick Disney on me if you want, but I'm going to fight this, and I will get other people behind me, and you will hear about it. So I'm just letting you know today, think about it. We're in drought conditions. Please, think. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Peter.
Thank you.
Mayor, there is no one raising their hand on Zoom, so that was the last speaker.
Very good. Is there anyone in the audience that has not filled out a card who wishes to speak? Now is your chance. All right, I see none, so I will close that portion of the meeting, and I will move to council board member comments and the city manager comments. Who will go first?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the council, just a brief comment today. Our presentation was great to recognize our first responders. They do a great job for our community, both our fire and paramedic personnel and our sheriff's department and our deputies. That was just one example of something that happens within our community. We've all heard the many great stories about our first responders and what they do for our community. We often hear about their professionalism, their compassion for people, even though they encounter it every day, every call they go on. They recognize for those people, they don't have that exposure to those type of situations, and it is very difficult for them to get through. And things like follow-ups and making sure they're okay and checking on them in the hospital is something that we hear quite a bit from our amazing first responders. So again, just wanted to recognize them for the great work that they're really doing for our community on a daily basis. So one of the things that I did want to touch on, and we've talked to the media about this issue a couple times since it has gotten brought up. There was a study done by SafeWise that ranked California cities. So you won't find in the Coachella Valley, Rancho Mirage or Indian Wells in that study. The reason for that is they didn't rank every city. So they used a population threshold. So basically, if your city fell below that population threshold, they didn't rank you. You can find that information on their website. So to say that Cathedral City is safer than Rancho Mirage or Indian Wells because we weren't on the study or we weren't ranked, it's because we weren't included within that study due to our population. And not to take anything away from the cities that were ranked. I know every city really does their best to provide the best public safety. So congratulations to Cathedral City and those cities in the valley that did make that ranking. But again, us missing from that study wasn't that we rank lower, it's that our population was lower than the threshold that they looked at. And cities like Rancho Mirage and Indian Wells were not included within that study. And you can find that on that study's website as well. And that's my comment today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isaiah. And with that, we will move on to council comments. And if I may, I would like to go first. So I will. A few months ago, the city of Rancho Mirage welcomed Cotino Story Living by Disney as part of the Section 31 development, a project led by DMB developers. Section 31 is a 618-acre parcel that begins at the northeast corner of Bob Hope and Frank Sinatra Drives, then stretches a mile north to Gerald Ford Drive and east to Monterey Avenue across from Sunnylands. On Thursday, April the 26th, I, along with my fellow council members, attended the groundbreaking of this exciting project. I would like to share, if I may, a video with you of that momentous day. Would you please run the video?
We are gathering here this morning for the groundbreaking of Disney's newest adventure, Cotino, a story living by Disney Community. Where nature inspires human curiosity and people find new passions and new beginnings.
What's going on here today is history in not only Rancho Mirage, but history in the Coachella Valley. This is where Disney will have one of their first major projects being built on the 640 acres, which includes many different developments and homes, the lagoon, a hotel, and entertainment for the world will be looking at Rancho Mirage.
We love California, we love Rancho Mirage. There's history even with Walt Disney, who loved it here.
He called it his laughing place, and he would bring his Imagineers here over to dream. And what's really fun is our residents are going to be able to create their own story.
My emotions are very strong, and I'm very honored to know that I'm standing here and to be a part of this history of Rancho Mirage. Thank you for that, and I will continue. This project will be one of the most significant master plan projects in Rancho Mirage's history, to say the least. The plan allowed the development of a mixed-use community including the following: resort hotel, mixed-use town center, residential neighborhoods, a private street system, and recreational open space amenities. One of the recreational amenities include a 24-acre multi-use swimming lagoon. The specific plan enabled the development of up to 175,000 square feet of combined office, restaurant, and neighborhood commercial uses, a combined total of 1,932 residential units, and a hotel branded residential units and up to 400 hotel keys. We are now thrilled about the possibilities this project holds and how it will enrich and enhance our community. This spectacular project will be an economic boost not only to the city of Ranch, but the entire Coachella Valley. With developer DMB Development's extensive experience in community development and the creativity and operational excellence of Disney's Cortina is sure to be beyond everyone's expectations. We are very excited about the journey ahead as this amazing project does take shape. Lastly, I want to thank my fellow council members for their leadership and vision in the entitlement of this project. And with that, I want to turn this over to Councilman Ted Weil.
Thank you, Mayor. My comments today are in regard to the Katina project. My approach is a little different because I'm a developer by profession. And so therefore, I get more into the nuts and bolts of a development. Let me start by saying that, explaining what is a general plan. In every city in California, It is a state law to have a general plan. And the general plan establishes development and conservation goals, as well as the location and intensity of different land uses. Essentially, it's the city's vision for the future. Within that general plan, there are specific plans, and this provides a broad policy concept designating every facet of a development. For example, in Section 31, the specific plan called for 1,700 homes, 400 hotel rooms, a commercial restaurant, retail area, and a lagoon. More on that in a moment. It also had an environmental impact report. And what is that? The EIR is to inform the public and decision makers of significant environmental effects if proposed projects and identify possible ways to maximize those effects and describe reasonable alternatives, if any, are necessary. The groundbreaking last week, which the mayor alluded to, was inspiring. This community will be a walking community. It's going to be extremely family-friendly. Since the announcement, I've had many discussions and listened to many concerns. I've also observed and read opinion letters submitted and printed in the newspaper. I was asked by the Desert Sun opinion editor if I would like to submit a letter addressing those concerns. And I'm hoping the residents had an opportunity to read that letter. In case you did not, there are copies available. You merely have to call City Hall, ask for my office, and I will get you a copy. As I mentioned in the letter, I empathize with the optics of a proposed 24-acre lagoon in California that's experiencing a drought. However, we're talking about a 24-acre lagoon versus 200 acres of manicured landscape, which was at one time proposed for this project consisting of 36 holes of golf. That project had been approved for 3,429 acre-feet of water per year. The Coachella Valley Water District for this project has set a budget of 1,915 acre-feet per year for the entire 618 acres. That 34-acre lagoon has now been reduced to 24 acres, and therefore the use is 20% under the prescribed amount. Lastly, I believe a long time, and during the time that I have heard our hospitality industry talk about how can we offset the summer and shoulder seasons here in the desert. The hotels have done a wonderful job. The Omni, a number of years ago, developed Splashtopia. The other hotels all have water projects that attract people here during the very hot summers. I think that what this project does, it is a balance of residential resort, retail, and culinary all in one. I'm very proud of the fact that Rancho Mirage will be the home to California's first Grand Oasis Lagoon in a state-of-the-art development that will go beyond normal means of sustainability. Every structure in this project will have a dual pipe system, one for drinking purposes and the other for recycled water for landscaping. So they've gone to the maximum. The Coachella Valley Water District has been very detailed in their allocation of water. And frankly, this will come under their allocation. So again, I can tell you it will be a transformative project. It will be transformative because it will attract not only residents to Rancho Mirage, but it will attract people throughout the Coachella Valley and will be a destination resort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ted. That was very informative, and I'm glad that you brought all that up. And I also want to add that, as Ted said, there is an enormous amount of information on this project, on the water, on what the plans are. They're all here on the website. As Ted said, you can get it from him directly. And I urge anybody who is in a misstep, if I may use the word, in thinking that this was a helter-skelter, something that just came off without a hitch. They've been working on it along with this city and with the Water District for the last, I believe, Ted, since what, 2019, basically? Right? So transparency is there, guys. It's all there. You can ask the questions. You can call. You can ask for information. It's available to you. So thank you very much, Ted. I appreciate it. Iris?
Nothing for me today.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to spend a few minutes here talking about Mission Hills Country Club and their hosting of the Chevron Championship. April 3rd, the date that we heard so much about, was the date that was the finals at the golf tournament, which were won by Jennifer Kopchow. She took her final leap into Poppy's Pond after winning the championship. The announcement by the LPGA to move the Chevron Championship, best known as the Dinah Shore, to Texas left many people wondering whether there was going to be a tournament in the future of Rancho Mirage. Well, fortunately, the answer is yes. The PGA Champions Tour and Grail LLC announced a partnership to host a new professional tournament. The Gallery Classic, named after Grail's multiple cancer early detection test, will debut March 20th and finish on the 26th of next year at Mission Hills Country Club. This marks the first time the Champions Tour has hosted a tournament in the Coachella Valley since 1993. The Gallery Classic will feature 78 PGA Tour champions, professionals, including World Golf Hall of Fame members. They will play 54 holes, and it will be stroke play with a purse of $2.2 million. This is a major commitment being made by the sponsors. We look forward to welcoming the Gallery Classic to Mission Hills Country Club and to our city. Well, after speaking about golf, I just want to note that if you have not purchased your Rancho Mirage resident card yet, it will not be too late. Rancho Mirage Resident Golf Club holders have access to 3 great golf courses: Mission Hills North, Rancho Las Palmas Country Club, and Desert Island Country Club. The annual cost of $69 gives you benefits of several. The first is you have a 3-day advance booking window for tee times. You also have a 10 to 35% discount on the published rates. And finally, you have 15% discount on non-sale items at the Pro Shop. And after May 30th, course rates go down through the summer. Cards are available at City Hall and at Mission Hills North Gary Player's signature course. To get your resident card, print and fill out the Rancho Mirage resident golf cart exhibition or application, which can be found under city programs for residents at ranchomirage.gov. So invite you all to get out, enjoy the weather now, sign up for the golf club, and we all look forward to next year when the new tournament begins, and it should be very exciting. So that's it, Mayor.
Very good. Richard, do they have to have an appointment like at City Hall? They just can come in, can't they?
They just come in,
Right.
and the information is available at City Hall.
Very good. I appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I, too, wanted to talk about Section 31 today, and I wanted to look at it in a slightly different way than the mayor and council member Weil. I wanted to take a look at the discussion about public approval and disapproval on this project. And certainly there has been some, there have been letters to the editor in the Desert Sun. There's also been social media comment, and some of it negative about this project. So I wanted to take a moment and take a look at some statistics, admittedly some pretty rough statistics, but I'll share them with you. What I did was I took a look at Charlie Barrett's Rancho Mirage News Facebook group. And the Rancho Mirage News Facebook group has published a number of postings about Section 31, and each of those postings has contained a number of comments. And typical is the posting after the Cotino dedication last week. Now, this is not statistically reliable, but it's a study that I did on my own just this morning to take a look at the approval and disapproval ratings that were shown in the Cotino posting last week. There were 38 comments that were made by members of the public to that posting. Now, 60% of those were negative, pretty significant number. But here's the rest of the story. So what you can do, of course, as we know in a Facebook posting, you can make a comment if you wish, or you can press a reactions button. You can either press a like button, you can press a heart button, meaning you like it even more, or you can press a couple of buttons that indicate that you don't like the posting. So there were 81 reactions clicks. People like to click the reactions button, it seems like in some cases a lot more than they want to make comments because they don't want to risk getting into a Facebook argument with someone. So you see typically more clicks, reactions clicks, than you do comments. There were 81 clicks, double the number of comments. 84% of them were positive. So I looked at about a half a dozen of the other postings that had at least 30 or more comments, and the results were similar. So what's the takeaway? There is a vocal minority. We do have concerns about water usage. There ought to be concerns about water usage. But it's pretty clear to me that a good 85% of the citizens of this city favor the action that was taken by the Planning Commission in recommending to this council that the entitlements be approved for Section 31. It's pretty clear to me that 85% of the people in this city favor the action that was taken by the City Council in taking that recommendation from the Planning Commission. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate the comments that came on the Cotino from us here. I want to say that what you're hearing is that we do hear you and that we do the research. The issue, maybe some people think when you come to the podium and there's no rebuttal back, that's not what that podium is for. That's for your time to tell your side, not to go into debate with anybody here. So some people think that you're ignored. It's not, as you can see by the comments that you saw here today. And I'm sure there'll be many more comments to try to ease your mind and answer your questions. So with that, I thank everybody. And next, I will move on, if there is nothing more on that, to our, what is it, city manager? City manager, you.
No further comments today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. I appreciate that. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the April 21st, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Are there any corrections?
Move to approve, Mayor.
Second.
Well, that was quick, so will you all vote, please?
Motion carries 5-0.
Very good, thank you. Next is the consent calendar that will be handled by our city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the council, you have 2 items on your consent calendar for consideration. Item number 1 is to receive and file the March 31st, 2022 quarterly treasurer's report. Item number 2 are demands. Before we go to council comments or questions, we'll go ahead and open up the public comment period on this item. If any member of the public wishes to speak on the consent calendar, now is the time to do so. If you're participating remotely, you would hit the raise hand button on Zoom or *9 on your telephone. And Christy, I'll turn this over to you.
And I have no speaker cards. I'll give it a second to look online.
Anyone here in person that didn't fill out a speaker card wish to speak on the consent calendar?
And there's no one raising their hand on Zoom.
Great. We can close the public comment period, and I'll turn this back over to you, Mr. Mayor, and the council.
Thank you. Are there any council comments on the motion? If not, I will call for
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
On item 1-1, the financial information, could you give us kind of an overview of the current 12-month rate at 3.65 and where it's come from over the last year or so?
Sure. I'll let Kofi Antebaum, our Director of Administrative Services, answer that question for you.
Councilmember, can you please repeat your question?
On page 1-1, we have the treasurer's report. Could you give us kind of an overview of the past year rate at 3.65?
Yeah. So that's the total return rate.
Right.
So that's not actually the yield that we're earning on the investments. I think a better page to look at is page 1-4. So that will show you the yield that we have in each one of the investment categories. The total return figure is how do we weigh the portfolio as a whole, taking into account changes in market fluctuations. So that includes unrealized gains and losses. So as an example, let's say the city is holding a 2-year treasury in our portfolio. From the date of measurement, what is the yield on a 2-year treasury? So as an example, if the city has that 2-year treasury and the yield is 2% and the current market is only 1%, well then we've got an unrealized gain, right? Our 2-year is more valuable. And so the purpose of a total return viewpoint is to really take into account changes in the market, and is the city making good decisions compared to our benchmark? So you wouldn't necessarily want to just go out to the max 5 years with every investment, because you might think that, well, maybe interest rates are going to be rising or maybe interest rates are going to be going down. Based on each one of those scenarios, you would make a different decision on the longevity of the investments that the city is purchasing. So this total return viewpoint that you see on page 1-1 is really taking the portfolio compared to our benchmark, so what we compare our portfolio to. And what you'll see on page 1-1 is duration, or the amount of years that our investments are out, right? The longer you're out, so the longer your investments are, that's more risk, right? So what you see in that first column under duration is our portfolio is 2.4 years, while our benchmark equals 2.54 years. So they're a little bit longer, which means they have a little bit more risk in the benchmark that we're comparing ourselves to. And then what you see at the end is the year column that you asked about. Our total return is better than the benchmark. So that means we're meeting our goals, right? We have less duration, so less risk. We're a shorter portfolio than the benchmark, and we did better from a performance standpoint than our benchmark.
So looking at the rate of return of 365, would you say that that is giving us direction that we should cut back on our term, or whether we should lengthen the term of the paper if we think interest rates are going to go higher?
Yeah, so this is actually a historical viewpoint, right? What have we done? Obviously, when we're making new investment decisions, that's when we take into account what do we think the market is going to do. So obviously right now, interest rates have been going up. And so our advisor, our investment advisor, works with Kofi and his team as we have maturities or available funds to invest based on current market conditions. So, right now, if you wanted to see just what are we earning on our portfolio, what is the yield, and where is the money at, again, page 1-4 is really what you want to focus on for that.
Thank you.
Very good. Any more council comments on this subject? Anybody with that? With that, I'll ask for a motion to accept the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Very good. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0, excuse me.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Should we listen?
Next is the action calendar, and I will turn this over to our city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I will quickly turn this over to Kofi Antebaum, our Director of Administrative Services.
Boy, that was fast.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. This item is the first step in the city standard process for annexation of developments within the city's jurisdiction. The final step is going to be considered at the June 16, 2022 council meeting. And at this point, if Jason and his team, okay, thank you. So this aerial that you see on your screens is the entire Betty Ford Center campus. The area on the right side shaded in blue is the area that is being proposed to be annexed into CFD number 1. So this area comprises of a portion of 2 parcels totaling approximately 6.01 acres. And the project is to construct a new 22,748 square foot, 1-story day treatment building at the annexed territory. PDP 19005 was approved by the City Council on August 20, 2021, and has a condition of approval number 47 to annex into CFD number 1. So in accordance with these conditions, the owner of the territory submitted a petition for annexation requesting that the City Council initiate annexation proceedings to annex the territory and also provide for an expedited approval of the annexation and the levy of a special tax. So upon approval, the city will accept the petition submitted by the owner for annexation. It will also consent to the levy upon the annexed territory, allowing a shortening of time for the special election to expedite the annexation process, accept and preliminarily approve the annexation map, and direct the city clerk to record the map, as well as establish a date and time for a public hearing on the annexation and special levy. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Kofi. Appreciate it. Now is the time for anybody in the audience that has any public comments on this subject. Chrissy, anybody on the phone?
We have no speaker cards. If anyone is participating on Zoom and would like to speak on this item, press *9 on your phone or raise hand on Zoom. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, and there's no one on Zoom either.
Very good, thank you. How about council comments? Anybody have any input? No. I will say the one thing, I had the privilege to have a tour of this when they were in conception. And this is a fabulous, fabulous addition to the Betty Ford, and it also expands the procedures of what they are there in different categories to help people. It's a great addition to this historical campus and the Betty Ford history. So with that, I will call for a motion.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Mayor, and I would move that the City Council approve and adopt resolution number 2022, next in order, declaring the city's intention to annex territory to Community Facilities District Number 1 and to levy a special tax therein for additional police and fire services, preliminarily approve a map of the area proposed to be annexed, and schedule a public hearing to consider the annexation and the levy of the special tax for annexation number 188.
I'll second that.
Very good. I have a yes and a second, and would you please vote?
Motion carries 5-0.
Very good. Appreciate that. Moving on, we are now going into closed session, and I'm going to turn it over to our city attorney.
Well, hello, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Yeah,
I
and
am
there
at
you
my
are.
annual City Attorneys Conference in Carlsbad, California. And the only place I can find a plug in a private place is in my car in the parking lot. So I'm in the parking lot right now outside the conference facility. Well, the council at this point is going to recess into closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 regarding the following existing cases. That's vacation rentals owners versus the City of Rancho Mirage, and the vacation rental owners and neighbors of Rancho Mirage versus the City of Rancho Mirage. The council is also going to consider an anticipated litigation matter pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, and that involves a government tort claim that was recently filed against the city from a former occupant of a former mobile home park. So those are the items that we will be discussing in closed session. So I will see you in closed session.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. If there is no more business here right at this moment, I'm going to recess into closed session, and thank you all for attending.
All right, it is 3:45, and the City Council took no reportable action in closed session. This meeting is adjourned.